Hello and welcome to Castle's Corner. I am Coach Castle. This is my good friend Kathy from Over Easy Cafe.
Hello.
Back again, and this time we're going to talk about self-transformation through mindfulness, specifically meditation. How to meditate, it's actually very simple. How to use that to be more mindful in your daily life, and then how to use that mindfulness to totally transform your life in whatever direction you want. So, I know this is something you're probably interested in.
Yes.
Who doesn't want to change their life? Well, some people don't, but they're few and far between. Most people think there is some way they can improve their life, which would be wonderful, and they're not really sure how to do it. So,
Meditating is very hard for me, though, because of the mind not being able to turn off. Constantly.
The constant chatter.
Constant chatter.
So that's perfect. This is a good way for us to get into it because this is the problem it seems that everyone has with meditation.
Okay.
Let me first just explain how to meditate, and then we'll talk about the problem. So how to meditate is very simple. I recommend sitting down. I don't recommend laying down because I personally will always fall asleep if I lay down to meditate. I just can't do it. So I sit down against the wall. Now, you very simply find yourself a comfortable position, legs in front of you, crossed, however you want to sit. You can sit in a chair as long as it has a nice high back, whatever you want. So make sure you're sitting and you're comfortable. You're not going to fidget or move. Second step, very simple. Let's start focusing on our breath. Hopefully, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Now what we're going to focus on is the simple, raw, physical data of this action. Meaning, what does the air feel like? As it comes into our nose, can we feel it moving our nose hairs? Can we feel the nose moving slightly with pressure? Can we feel it in our throat, expanding our belly, expanding our diaphragm and lungs? Can we feel it slowly making our chest rise? After that, can we feel the chest dropping? Can we feel the air coming out of our mouth? Feel it on our lips. That's the raw physical data. That's really about it. But that brings us to our problem. Almost immediately upon doing this, for most people, almost immediately, let's say the chatter starts in their head. Now, what's the chatter? What's for dinner? That person was an asshole to me on the road.
Yes.
Or what a funny looking lady I just saw, or whatever pops into your mind. And what does everybody say? Damn it, I knew it, I can't meditate.
Can't do it.
Well, that's exactly where you're wrong. The fact that you just recognized that you were thinking, and you recognized the chaos, and then you said, oh, I'm fucking up, and you brought yourself back to your breathing, that is the same as a bicep curl for your brain. I mean, when I say bicep curl for your brain, I mean you are physically, well, I shouldn't say physically, you are training and re-molding your brain in a new way.
Right.
It is no longer acting the same.
Practice.
It takes a lot of practice, and you have to do it, again, consistently and every day. Here's the good news about meditation. You don't have to wear a fancy robe and a necklace and find yourself in a secluded waterfall for an hour. You don't.
I do.
Here's what you need. Absolutely nothing. People say, I can't find a quiet place to meditate. That's okay. You can meditate anywhere. You can meditate in an arcade. You can meditate in the middle of a parade. How do you do that? It's actually very simple. You pick one noise, and you focus on only that noise.
One noise?
Being, like, say you're at a construction site and you can hear the workers using the hammers. Focus on only the...
That would drive me nuts.
It would drive you nuts if you were unaware of what you were doing.
What you were doing,
If
right.
you were consciously going into it saying, I'm only going to focus on these hammers, you would actually find a beautiful melody in there, and you would become lost in thought. I mean, you would then think, why am I listening to hammers? This is crazy. And then you're going to say, listen up. We're going to listen to these hammers. And you're going to keep doing that, and you're going to keep curling with your brain.
Right.
And this is the thing. Time-wise, 2 to 5 minutes. You get good at it, you can start doing it for 10 to 15. I do it 5 minutes in the morning. I won't lie, probably several times during the day if I'm feeling out of sorts. I'm getting maybe grumpy, Or like if I have a craving for food. Craving for food's a good one, by the way. All you guys on diets, you have a craving for food, sit down for 2 minutes and just focus on your breath. The food craving is going to be there. But if you can focus on your breath, you'll notice it go away almost immediately. Almost immediately. So here's what's up. Humans are classified as Homo sapiens sapiens. And what that means literally is that which thinks and is aware that it thinks. Here's the problem. Most people go through their lives not actually knowing how to direct their thoughts. We've talked about this. I don't know if we've covered it on here, but
yeah, I'm sure we have. Yes.
Anybody who thinks that they are just this one thing, you're sadly mistaken. You are not one thing. You are many different personalities, all of which need to be satisfied. During the day, hour to hour, your mood will change dependent on various factors. Whatever current mood you are in is what overtakes most people. I'm hungry, I must eat. What do I eat? Whatever the hell's in front of me. I'm angry, I better yell. Oh, I'm going to control myself. How long does that last? 2 seconds? And then you scream, right? Because you have
sometimes longer.
Sometimes longer. Because you have no control. Because the superpower that we're aiming for with meditation, it is a superpower. And anyone, you don't have to be special to get this. Anybody can do this by meditating a few minutes a day for a couple months. The superpower is real simple. It's being so present in the current moment that you are aware of the decisions and choices that you are making. So it's not thinking about all your past mistakes and your past failures. Here's what happens. People develop a sense of identity, and people aren't really sure how this happens. I'm going to do an okay job of explaining this. I'm sure somebody could do it better than I, but I'm going to do an okay job explaining this. You develop your identity by the repeated actions that you do on a daily basis, which people then tell you either good or bad and reward you for or take away from. Now, here's the thing about that. It's extraordinarily hard to change your behavior, because to change your behavior, you must change your identity. You can't change behavior without changing identity. It's not possible. They both have to change. How you perceive yourself must change for anything to change. If you think you are a no-good, low-life alcoholic because you killed your dog, you beat your wife, you went to prison, you've been drinking for 20 years, and that's all you firmly believe, you're going to remain that. Now, the same person, if they have some kind of a life-shaking event, or they meet somebody who finally is able to get through the fog, and explain to them, if you change your perception, somehow change it. It doesn't matter how. Somehow change your perception. You can use psychedelics. You can use medications. You can use therapy. You can use meditation. There's many things you can use. Isolation tanks. But the end result is you are changing your perception of yourself. That's where the mindfulness comes in. Being mindful doesn't mean you go through life meditating. That's not what it means. Being mindful, every one of my clients has very specific things I tell them to be mindful of. You know what yours are. What are some of the things I tell you to be mindful of?
My breathing.
Yeah. Specific, but how? Being clear. How do I tell you to be mindful of your breathing?
To listen to my breathing, to feel my breathing, to breathe in through my nose, out my mouth, to make sure my lungs are getting the breath.
Into the belly.
And the belly.
I know you don't like it, but into the belly, keep your chest up, yes.
Yes.
So, what's another thing I tell you to be mindful of?
My mouth.
Yeah. What about it, though?
When I'm angry, keep it closed.
Keep it closed.
Listen more than you talk.
And by listening, by the way, that's a good point. Listening is...
That's hard to do sometimes.
It's hard to do, I think, not just sometimes. I think listening for most people, about 95% of the time, is almost impossible. Well, let me explain what I mean. This is a very quick side topic. When most people have a conversation, this is how the conversation goes. Both people want something from the conversation.
Yes.
Both people go in there kind of in almost a negotiating way. Generally speaking, as soon as the dominant person in the conversation is decided, then the conversation is skewered in whatever way that person wants it. Now, not always, and this is just one example. There's many different kinds of conversations, but typically people don't go into conversation to listen. If you go into a conversation with the explicit interest of listening to the other person, number one, you're going to gain knowledge. Because that person knows a lot of shit you don't. I don't care who the person is. I don't care if they're a hobo. I don't care if they're a scumbag.
They have to know something you don't know.
They've
yes.
seen things and done things you haven't. They
Right.
know stuff you haven't.
Right.
Okay? Next thing that you're going to gain from the conversation, you're now actively listening to the person. That is always transmitted in body language. And when somebody recognizes subconsciously that you are listening intently, they start talking about more interesting things. I mean, not just interesting to them, but even if they are interesting to them, they will be interesting to you because of the passion they're talking about it with. Now, when you have a conversation and you are both listening, you should both leave the conversation better than you began.
Right.
Now, that is not how most conversations go. Most conversations go, yeah, exactly. It's one person trying to prove
Both,
that
yes.
I'm right, you're wrong. The other person,
Yes.
I'm right and you're wrong. And what are they looking at? I saw a wonderful image of this. It was the 69 on the ground, and you had one guy on either side of it, and one was saying it's a 6, the other was saying, no, it's a 9. And I was like, oh, Jesus. I'm like, and it was so funny to me because it's so true. Just listen, guys, but this is where the mindfulness comes in. Being mindful is being mindful of anything. Of anything. Being mindful of how you carry yourself, keeping your shoulders back, good posture, being mindful of your facial expressions, being mindful of the tone of your voice, being mindful of just talking too much. That was a problem I personally had for a long time. I was trying to, no, I still kind of do sometimes. So I'm going to say, you're right, I saw your face, you're right, I do,
Yes,
I
he
do
does.
go on
He
and
talks
on.
a lot.
Yeah, well,
But so do I.
well, they can see it. I mean, it's 20 minutes of me bullshitting here, so. Well, not bullshitting, sorry.
We both can talk a lot.
Yeah, but I used to talk in a very bad way. Now, what I mean when I say a bad way, and this is how mindfulness affected me, is I developed literally a split in my psyche. And I noticed that one part was always watching and judging the other part, the part that was actually talking, the part that was saying things like that were not true. I was lying all the time, like to myself as well. The reason I was doing things, I would know the real reason the first second, and then I would immediately cover it in lies to myself. Well, no, actually, because this is a good reason, and you know.
So most people do that?
Yeah, well, I used to do it too, though. Well, that's why I say I understand people, because I used to do it. And I used to, like, say things just to impress people. Right. I would tell these, like, well, they weren't made-up stories, but they were embellished stories to people to make myself seem more impressive to them. Nobody gives a shit, number one. And number two, nobody actually believed me, even though the story was true. Nobody believed it because I had embellished it. And all these horrible things I was talking to women, flirting with them, even though I was in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like these terrible, terrible things I was doing. And terrible by my own definition, I want to specify that. Not by cultural definition, by my own internal definition. I didn't like the fact that I was doing them. And that's what the judge was saying. You don't really believe that. That's not you. You heard that in a movie. That's not true. Stop saying that. It's a lie. And I started really noticing things. These all came about because I very simply started meditating. Just a couple minutes a day.
Very interesting.
And this split developed, which literally, it gave, everyone has an ideal self. Everyone has this wonderful, amazing, beautiful person that they want to become and that they think that they are sometimes, even though they're not. And that's our judge. That's our ideal. Now here's the thing. That judge and ideal is always there, kind of crushing us with how great it is and how insufficient we are. The only time as humans that we are actually happy is when we personally feel we are making progress towards the judge. It's the only time in life I personally have ever found myself to be happy is when in some aspect of my life I feel I am making progress towards that ideal self.
Yes. The more progress you make, the happier you're going to be.
But here's the problem. The rub with that is that these people who don't have any understanding of mindfulness or meditation or actually directing their focus, they live in a constant state of dialogue, internal images, stories, remembrances, internal monologue. All these things are constantly swirling and growing. So what happens when all that goes on? You don't really say what you want to say.
Right.
You come across not how you want to come across. You don't understand why you're not understood. And everyone can relate to this. Everyone can relate to this. I mean, again, it happens to me to this day, and it's very simply when I lose focus, when I'm out of sorts, and I'm not focused and somebody has a conversation with me, I will still say stupid things. I will still say things which, like, I'll catch myself. I say, hold up, actually, I'm sorry, that was a lie. Back it up. That's not true. I don't know why I said that. Actually, I mean, you've heard me do that. How many times where I just stop myself? I know I look like a lunatic, but I won't let myself say these things, and I won't let myself lie. I don't care if I look crazy. I will physically stop myself, say, nope, refresh that. And
Yeah, you say, wait a minute, let me rephrase
let
that.
me rephrase that because I didn't say it accurately. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I want to make sure that to the best of my abilities, I am conveying the knowledge that I have to others.
Mhm.
I'm not the greatest at it, obviously. I try my best. It's a learning curve. I will get better. But in the meantime, I'm going to do the best I can.
Well, you told me I was your toughest client.
Well, I have tougher ones
I believe
since.
that.
I have tougher ones since, don't worry.
Oh, I believe that.
I like a challenge. As they say in the Bible, God puts acceptable challenges in front of you, just above your skill level.
Absolutely.
So that's good. I'm
Well,
not religious, by the way, just to make that clear. I just like quoting the Bible.
I have found with the meditation is in the Wim Hof breathing
Mm-hmm. Yep.
for my lungs. That's the only time I'm like at peace. I go in my bedroom, I close the door. I try to say, don't come in here, Mark, Michael, Tabitha, Samantha, somebody always has to come, scratch at the door, open the door, whatever. And it's very hard to get back on track, but I do it almost every single night. And I try to do it in my bedroom where it's semi-peaceful for me.
Now, real fast, I don't know if we've covered this. So the Wim Hof breathing, everyone, just, she said that correctly, Wim Hof. I highly recommend anybody to be Googling or YouTube it. I'll probably make a video on it myself, but there's already so many. Wim Hof breathing is just a style of breathing where you are controlling, doing inhales and exhales in a very controlled manner, basically to do a controlled hyperventilation. So you oversaturate your blood cells with oxygen so that when you go into a prolonged breath hold, you are able to hold your breath longer without your CO2 reflex kicking in.
Right.
And what that does is it makes your body more alkaline. It has a meditation effect as well because you're clearly focusing very intently on your breath.
You have to on your breath.
Or you won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
You simply can't because you'll drift off in the middle and the entire process will be scrapped and you have to start over. So Wim Hof is another wonderful tool of meditation. That one relies on the breath. I want to stress meditation. It doesn't necessarily need to be only the breath, like hammers on the construction site. I mean, your cats meowing at the window, at the lizards, whatever. I mean, put music on with a good beat, whatever makes you happy. There's an infinite number of ways to meditate. One point I did forget to mention about meditation. While you're doing, mindfulness rather. One thing I forgot to mention about mindfulness is, again, while you can apply this to any aspect of your life, anything from your voice to your body language, anything you're able to control about yourself, you can be mindful of. And you can also be mindful of external sources as well. Of course, be mindful of your relationship, be mindful of your home. I mean, I highly recommend that. Clean house, clean mind.
Yes.
Everybody knows that. So, people just don't like to do it because you're lazy, but clean house, clean mind. It's funny because whenever you give somebody homework, like I give a client homework, I say, I want you to do this. One of the most common excuses is I got distracted cleaning my house. I know exactly what that is because I can't tell you how many times I sit down to study and I'm like, I got to do the dishes actually. The bathroom really needs to get cleaned. Because it's an excuse. It's an excuse to distract you from the thing that you're not feeling like doing.
That's why I have allotted time for cleaning my house.
That's good. That's a good way to do it, actually. I didn't even tell you to do that. You did that.
Yes.
Excellent.
All on my own.
I didn't tell you that. I'm impressed. So anyways, I'll tell you what, let's try to wrap this up. Let's take a couple minutes. I want to make sure you understood everything because if you didn't, maybe somebody else did. So did I do an okay job explaining everything?
I think so. Having the quiet place, having the mindfulness of your breathing in and out and feeling your body inside and out and stopping the chatter is going to help with your meditation, which is going to make you more healthier.
Well, it's just going to allow you to literally transform your life. Well, maybe I should harp on that a little bit more. Guys, just to be clear, when you are no longer just in a constant state of literally endless thinking, and you're able to direct your focus, that is quite literally, everyone's problem in life. Do you know why you procrastinate? It's because you're not focused. Do you know why you didn't do that thing this morning? It's because you weren't focused.
I
could keep going. but it's specifically because you are not controlling you. You are a puppet. You're a slave. Most people, I mean not everyone, but most people listening to this right now, I apologize if I offend you, but currently you are a puppet to your emotions. You are a slave to your desires. Your sub-personalities that you don't even know the names of are running your life, and guess what? 9 times out of 10, they're destroying at least 1 or 2 parts of it, and you all know it. And this is the fix. You know, I'm not bullshitting you. It's not the be-all, end-all, but it is a really good place to start, because if you be more mindful of your body, you're going to realize what you actually feel like. You're going to realize what you actually look like. Yes. And then what are you going to do? You're going to be mindful enough to start eating healthy. When you become mindful enough to start eating healthy, you will then get another boost as you get enough nutrients and healthy food to actually power your energy levels.
Isn't that a fact?
Which will then give you a boost to think even better, clearer, and faster, and stronger, and meditate more, which will then lead to, hopefully anyways, exercise, which will then give you another gigantic boost, which will lead you to, I mean, it's your life, guys, but whatever steps they are, you pick them. But just please try the meditation. I urge each and every one of you. Of course, anyone who has questions, I have information about this up on my site, castleandprogress.com. You guys are welcome to go there. Anyone who has questions, castleandprogress@gmail.com. Email me questions, comment below if you have questions, of course. That's about it for me.
And you can also comment on the podcast, and you will try to answer any questions that would be on there. So we'll post it, and
for new videos, of course, subscribe. I don't think I need to say that to anybody who uses
subscribe.
YouTube, but if you want new videos every week, subscribe if you want to see them. And